Welcome one, welcome all, welcome Lauren to episode 7 of season 2 of Fab Life with Lauren and Lee. I hope you're well. How are we, Lauren? How has it been? She's back, baby girl. She's back from her mammoth dolly sticks order.
Oh,
yeah, baby
back.
girl.
And she hasn't taken this hat off in a week, babes, because if you're watching on the YouTube, you'll see I look like, Billy Ray Cyrus right now, because my roots are bad. They're real bad. I mean, look at the root. Oh, so bad. I've missed 2 hair appointments. Like, I've had to keep moving it because of I'm just such a busy business lady now. Well, I wish. I know. And then also it's just greasy. So I'm just saving it up for, I'm going to a wedding at the weekend, so I'm just saving it up for then. Because who can be asked and who has the time? Who has the time?
Well, I'm sporting a new haircut. I managed to get mine done on Saturday. So, not a new haircut, not a new style, but I've just, you always feel nice. Do you know what? You always feel better, I think, a week after the haircut, don't you?
Yeah,
when it's
you've
grown,
really
when it's settled
in.
itself.
You know how to style it,
Yeah, totally. Are you all done now with the dolly sticks? Did it go well? Was it a success, Lauren?
It was a success. It was long ass days, and I'm still really tired, like recovering from it. And I just had a market today, fresh off the market, like literally just landed here, setting up the laptop. And then I've got a big corporate order for Thursday as well. I say big, it's only 100, but that's good. That's a good little corporate order. I need to finish off the next couple of days. I know. And then I will be chilling like a villain at the weekend. So I'm really excited for that.
I hope you can't hear. If you can, I've got a bit of buzzing sound near me. Basically, because of the hot weather, it might not be coming through the microphone. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but I can hear it. Because of the hot weather, I think where I'm currently residing, everyone decides to mow their lawn and get their hedge trimmers out and everything left, right and centre. This is the season now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't bear it. It's every single time everyone's out in the garden. Yeah. Lawnmowers, strimmers, leaf blowers, get a life.
They've got all the equipment as well around where you live, you know what I mean? With
all of it. Oh my God, it's like a Karcher. It's like a Karcher showroom round here.
Who's got the bigger power washer? Do you know what I mean? Who's got the most powerful
it's
power
very
washer?
much like, slinging your dicks around. Who's got the biggest leaf blower in Cleethorpes?
But it's cool.
Listen, I hear we've got some breaking news. Surprise, surprise, we've got some Cilla Black news, everybody.
Surprise, surprise, God love her. It's actually like slightly more hate, and it's not a full story.
Oh, hate.
It's not hate, it's just like that everyone knows she was a bitch, because that's just like...
Right, okay, so for anyone who has, just kind of dipped into this podcast, welcome.
Dipped the toe in the pond.
It kind of became a bit of an unofficial Cilla Black talking podcast. So now and then she pops up. Now we will say we think she's iconic. She's an absolute icon, Cilla Black. But it has to be said, and I know we shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but it has to be said that there are a few stories that have cropped up along the way of her being not the nicest of people to people, mainly to air stewardesses and air stewards. So, that's just something to think about. Cilla Black may have been a bit of a cow, but we still love her. And we still, a diva, a true diva icon. But, we still love her. And take it away, Lauren. I want to hear this breaking Cilla Black news. Hold on, let me get the jingle out. Cilla Black news. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, there is a disclaimer at the start of this, and it says, "I live for our Cilla." So this is what's thingy. Like, she's the type of celeb where if she slapped you in the face, you would have just been like, "Oh my God, do you remember that time Cilla slapped me in the face?" You'd just love it. You'd just be that. That'd be an iconic moment. Anyway, it comes from another member of cabin crew, which obviously have to keep him on all these cabin crew that write in.
Don't want them tracking back.
Yeah. And they said, listening, like I've gone back. They just became a Fab Life for this person. So they'd gone back to listening out of order, and then all these Cilla bits and bobs were coming up. And they said, I just wanted to let you know that Cilla was notoriously hated by cabin crew. Oh. As she was an absolute see you next Tuesday to everyone, didn't matter who they were.
That's strong.
I know, never quote me because I will be fired. Of course we won't quote you, my dear. But there is another person that is also notoriously known for cabin crew, and I thought, why don't we try and like do like 20 questions to see if you can figure them out. They are still alive, and they're a man, and they're a legend, but they're also like apparently up there in the Cilla bracket of you don't want to be cabin crew on the flight because they're a terrible person.
Right, so should I try and guess?
Yeah, so I've given you, they're still alive, they're a legend, like, and they're a man. They're your things.
Are they a British legend?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So they're a British legend, they're a man. Are they in the realms of Cilla Black career?
Yeah, I would say the next level. They were probably, like, Cilla was successful, but they were, like, really successful. Probably got on a lot of flights,
really?
To be fair. Yeah.
Okay. But I'm trying to think of someone who probably wouldn't, like, maybe get private jets. Like, so they're still taking normal flights, so they're not, like, hugely successful. Right, okay, very interesting.
Yeah, would they have took a private jet? Maybe they would back in, like, the 50s. But not so much anymore, because first class is like so good these days. Yeah, older
Right, so
older gentlemen.
Are they quite old?
I think they are quite old. You know, it was on a quiz show recently, and I was like, oh.
Right. Okay. And is this guy a singer?
Yeah.
Is this guy? Oh my God, I can't think. Is this guy? It's not Tom Jones, is it?
It's Tom Jones. Oh my God. Can you believe it?
Oh my God.
It was a scandal. It was a scandal when I wrote that message. Well done, well done.
Oh my God. Now, we have to say allegedly from someone.
Alleged.
We have to say allegedly. Because we do
but
not
it's just
have
one of
the
them
budget
names.
to be sued by
you
Tom
know, like
Jones.
if you see, yeah, one of the names you might see on the roster if you're a cabin crew, and you're like, oh God, Tom Jones isn't on the flight today. And it was the same with Cilla.
Oh my God.
Yeah, can you believe?
You wouldn't think
he
that
hung out
from
with
old
Elvis,
Tom
though.
Jones.
He's diva. Yeah, but he's like, he knows he's a ledge. Like, he performed in Vegas with Elvis. Like, he's been on the scene a long time. He's got that legendary status. Fair play to the guy.
I guess you could say it wouldn't be unusual for him to be rude on. It's not unusual for him to be a little bit rude, is it? Ooh, good one.
See what you did there? Yeah, so there's your Cilla goss. So it's not really goss, but I'd just like to hear from more people who've met her, obviously, because so many people have. It's like there's 6 degrees of separation to Cilla, isn't it? It's not hard to figure one out.
What's your favourite Tom Jones song? Because I'll tell you what mine is. I love that song that goes, Mama told me not to come.
I was just singing that in my head.
Song.
Oh, yeah, with the stereophonics. That's with the stereophonics, that one. I liked it when he did all the duets, actually. Because even Sex Bomb, that was a duet, wasn't it, with some, like, DJ person.
Do you know I sang Sex Bomb in Year 8 at the talent show?
You've told me this.
Yeah. I sang Sex Bomb. It was a bloody 13-year-old in a school talent show, and it was like... And then the year 11 girls were like my backing dancers, and I fancied one of the girls at the time, Jade Dilks. Shout out if she's listening. I had a real crush on Jade.
Shout out, Jade. Shout out.
Jade, spelt with a Y, I might add. Jayde. I don't think I would have fancied her if it was just Jade.
Yeah, she was ahead of the curve.
She really was. Okay, well that has been Cilla and Tom Jones news. Thank you, lovely jingle there. I don't know why I say thank you before anyone says anything as well.
I hadn't even started my applause, and you were like, thanks, cheers. I'll tell you one thing, working at the NHS. Oh, sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, you sent me a message this week saying, remind me to tell you about my breakfast.
Well, so I was taking a packed lunch to these days because I was, up at 4:30 every day, on site by 5:45, madness. So you've got to feed yourself, and there was no, like, savoury food, but when you do a market, I just get fed. Like, I sometimes take a little nibble, but there's always someone who, like, I'll give him a cookie or whatever, and they'll just give me, like, a halloumi wrap, for God's sake. So you're always really well fed.
Yeah.
But I was like, right, yeah. So I took some cereal in a Tupperware. I took, like, a flask of tea, you know, like sandwiches, whatever I could, you know, bits and bobs, some fruit. Anyway, I took some cereal, and I realised I had no milk. But I had this flask of tea.
What a
right?
nightmare.
What a nightmare. But I'd love to get... I was like, I can't actually wait for Lee's opinion on this. So what I did was, think outside the box, I had this flask of tea, I just poured my tea onto the cereal as if it was milk. And I ate my cereal. Right. So then I started doing it, like, every day. But I've never had so many DMs in my Dolly Sticks Insta. And then someone was like, friend of the pod, Kate, was like, you need to discuss this on the pod because it's just ludicrous.
So you had made a flask of tea, so you decided to pour the tea as this. So, well, I mean, I don't know what I think about that. Firstly, I tell you what I think about that right off the bat. And I think this about myself as well, so it's not an insult directly to you. But I personally feel like you may be a little too old to be eating cereal.
Yeah, well, me too. So I never eat cereal, actually. Disclaimer, I never normally have cereal. It was a treat for me knowing I was going to be tired. Yeah.
And because
the
reason I say that is I have this little thing where I sometimes feel too old for certain food groups, and cereal, unless it's like muesli. What cereal was it?
It was chocolate Cheerios. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah. You should have stopped eating them probably around the age of 15 max. So
they're shit,
hold on.
They're shit now.
So it was okay, so I'm just trying to think. Tea with chocolate Cheerios. Now, maybe they'd go with normal Cheerios, but what was the taste like?
I beg to differ. Well, because you know, like you
have
a bit of chocolate. Time. Yeah, you know, you have a bit of chocolate with your tea or a chocolate biscuit. But if you had like, I don't know, it'd just be like having a rich tea dunked in tea. But yeah, it's weird. But you know what was disappointing is
what
the
you don't do with your biscuit.
Shit.
Oh, really? Right, okay.
Yeah, they've lost, because they're trying to make cereal healthy because it's bad for you. So now they just don't even taste like anything.
It's the sugar tax. Oh, well, I find that with juice drinks. There's barely any sugar in them now. It's ruined my life.
Capri-Sun is not what it used to be.
It's not, and I mean, it was not what it was used to be back in the day. I mean, these kids have it easy. Have you seen a Capri-Sun nowadays? It's just a little cap. When we had Capri-Sun back in the day, you had to very carefully pierce the hole with your straw, and let me tell you something, if you accidentally went through your Capri-Sun, it would leak. It would be like you'd opened up a dam gate or whatever they're called. What's it called?
There was no coming back from that. There was no coming back. A floodgate.
There's no coming back. And floodgate, that's it. Thank you. Floodgate. And what you'd then have to do, if you did pierce your Capri-Sun too much, you'd have to suck your Capri-Sun like right up to your lips and just, put your mouth over the hole. It was precursor for later days, I guess.
For the rest of our lives.
So, okay. Yeah, I don't... why did you do it every day? Because it tasted nice.
Because it was quite nice. And it was, like, comforting because it was too... I don't really eat breakfast, you see. Like, I'm not a big breakfast eater. And I always get peckish about, like, 10:30, 11. And by that point, I'm like, I either have an early lunch or I just wait until lunchtime. So I got a packed cereal because it would be a treat because I knew I'd be so tired. And I could eat it around 8 a.m. because at that point, I probably was going to think it was lunchtime. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And and then I just ended up doing it every day because I wasn't going to put packed milk as well as my flask of tea. I wasn't going to find a small receptacle. I already had enough to carry.
True. And you certainly are not someone who wants to take UHT.
Oh, can you imagine me with a UHT? Well, you've never seen me with one. That's how you know. I'm the fresh milk girl.
No one's ever seen her with UHT. No one. Okay, and then you also told me to ask you about Kettners. Now, if someone doesn't know Kettner's, it's a place in the capital, London. Very nice little fancy place. And I'm assuming you did its legendary bottomless brunch. Am I right in saying that, Lauren?
I haven't yet done it, right?
Oh.
So I still need to book it. But we had a DM from someone who used to be the manager of Kettner's. He's a Fab Lifer and he lives over the pond now. And he lives that Fab Life dream, as we know. Great Fab Lifer, shout out to him. And he was like, you need to tell Lee that I came up with Kettner's doing bottomless. So he was the founder.
Really? He was
the guy,
of
yeah.
Kettner's
And we brought it up so much. And we know the founder. He listens to us chat shit every Thursday.
Oh my God, I love this. Where is he now? Where is he based now?
He's in NYC, our Ethan is. And so next time we go, he's going to book us in, basically. Shout out to Ethan. So we need to get it booked.
Can't wait, Ethan. I hope he's taking bottomless Kettner's over to the States with those cocktails. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just the best bottomless I've ever been to.
Oh, it's so good. Well, I saw him he works for Soho Works, which is Soho House, and it's like happy hour. It's like WeWork, but Soho House version. So fucking amazing. And when the happy hour came out, 2 commercial dancers came out in like leotards and like dead hot and like was doing some full choreography, like holding the tray of cocktails. I was like, oh my God. Of course, darling, of course. So he was just jazzing up that happy hour, end of the day. Have yourself a martini.
Oh my God, what a legend. What's his name? Ethan? Thank you, Ethan, for everything you've done, but also I hate you, Ethan, for everything you've also done the next day after a Kettner's bottomless. That's all I'm going to say. My God, it gives me like PTSD thinking about it sometimes, those hangovers.
Don't. Anywho, that's my news. You've got huge news because, hey, we saw the gig you did on Friday night on your Insta. Tell us all about it.
I know. So, yes, last week we did that annoying thing where I teased it and then was like, I'm not going to say anything because basically I have a habit of saying these things. The minute I get a sniff of them, I say it. And I'm like, this is happening, guys. And then it falls through or, the organizer dies or something happens and it's like, oh, that's not happening anymore. And I just then don't say anything and they go, whatever happened to that huge gig you were telling you were doing? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's not happening anymore. So
I gotta go.
I didn't want to say anything because, I had told people, but I didn't want to have it, on this podcast and it fall through. But it didn't fall through. It happened. And I was Jason Manford's tour support. Oh my God, shut up. 1,200 people. What are you talking about?
Biggest gig you've ever done?
Well, actually, no, it's not the biggest. It's I guess it's the biggest stand-up gig I've ever done. It's not the biggest gig in terms of hosting or anything, but it is the biggest stand-up gig I've ever done, actually. So, like, just pure stand-up comedy. And it was great. And Jason was utterly lovely. I bet he's lovely on a flight, I have to say.
I bet he's great, yeah.
Yeah, he was. The great thing about Jason actually is he, before you go on, so usually with a tour support, and it's a bit like a band, you go on before, you do a little bit, and then the main act comes on, which, as everyone knows, they have come on just to see the main act.
Yeah, of course.
But what Jason does, which is so kind, is he goes on first, does about 20 minutes where he warms the audience up.
Oh my God,
basically
I love it.
addresses the fact that no one really comes to see the tour support, and he doesn't usually have a support, but because of COVID and everything, he's helping out loads of different comedians, and so then he introduces you on, and you do 20 minutes. And the crowd are just so lovely and nice. And then there's a break and he does a full hour show. So, I mean, how generous that is.
That is
because
so
usually
nice.
you have to go on blind and you have to do 20 minutes and you have to basically go, no one's here for me. I'm really sorry. But Jason goes, I've been on.
Through.
I am coming back. See you later. But first, please be lovely and kind and enjoy this other comedian that I know. So, I mean, it was just a real treat. It was a real treat. Yeah, I loved it. Very, very honoured to do it.
That seems like the perfect way to do it.
Yeah, it was also in my hometown, funnily enough. So there was a few that came up, and I just said I can do this, that, and that. And it was in bloody Grimsby Auditorium. Last time I performed there was Oliver the Musical back in 2005 or whenever it was. So yes, it felt like full circle.
Oh my God, that's so nice. And he posted you on his Instagram as well, which was like lovely to see. Because you always feel like you don't have to do that. And like, yeah, I did a little Insta stalk, and he was like posting all the comedians he knows just from around the UK and like gets to support in their hometown, and loved it. Loved to see it.
And it was quite funny because I hadn't really told anyone I was doing it, and a load of people in the audience, because it was Grimsby, like knew me or knew of me. So they were like, oh, bloody hell, it's Lee. Like a few people from school had messaged me saying, oh my God, I was so shocked when you just minced out on stage, like, hello. But it was quite nice because I could do some local references as well. So I think they enjoyed it. So I had a great time. I had a very good time. And I do have also other good news that has come in this week, but I'm going to do that thing again where I won't share it until next week. And I know that's really annoying, but hey, maybe every week now I'll just start getting good news. I know. Lee's tease good news. Oh, yeah.
Oh, sounds good. Teas. We can maybe do like a little illustration with a tea. Yeah, with you holding. Yeah,
well, maybe Lauren could just have a bowl of cereal, get the tea from that.
It really tasted fine. Also, I must apologise for the lack of Insta posts this week. I'm still not allowed to post, you know. I just get the processing.
So it's not like, oh, well, I must do it. You must send it to me what you want to post, or I should probably start doing something. But I always think when I post, it looks a bit rubbish. I don't know what fonts and stuff you use. I just post. I'm so terrible, aren't I?
No, I don't mind doing it. You know, when I get them all ready, and I had like 3 posts ready. One was a picture of you, Jason Manford, as well, obviously, to be like, woo! And then I just didn't support you, and it just had the processing wheel of death. But I can post on my other pages. Have you updated your app? Do you know what? I think it might have updated recently, but it needs... You know, sometimes they get an update, but then they're not quite ready, are they? And you need another one.
Hate...
So I do honestly, keep checking.
There's updates left, right and centre. All I seem to have to do is update this. It was a scramble for me to get onto this bloody recording because I had to restart my Mac for some reason, and then it was like...
Your brand new Mac.
Installing updates. I said, I never... told you I wanted to install these updates. I never did, so it took ages.
You have to get consent for that shit.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, talking of comedians.
Yeah.
What the hell? We have to discuss the comedian Chris Rock being walloped across the face by Will Smith at the Oscars.
Can you believe it? I actually just, like, I can't even watch it because it just makes my skin crawl. It's so awkward. And Freddie yesterday just kept going. He didn't know it happened either. And he was in a training day all day, and he comes out and he's like, what's this thing I keep hearing about Will Smith? I was like, have you been living under a rock? Like, it's the first thing I woke up to. And then in the evening he just kept going, I can't believe Will Smith did that. I am so upset by it. And he's really like moved. He's shooketh about it. And I'm like, I watched it once and I can't watch it again because it's just too awkward and weird and awful. Yeah, what did you think?
Got a little bit of fuzz from you there, Lauren, from your microphone.
Oh,
I think it's gone now. I think when you knocked it slightly, I think it's gone.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we're good. I'll pick up. I am as well, not upset, but I have to say it's really made me feel quite uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it's something you don't expect from Will Smith, to the point where you wonder whether he's like mentally well.
Not okay. That's what Freddie said. He was like, he doesn't look well when he's talking. It's like there's something going on.
Yes, but in my opinion, and I mean, everyone's got a take on it, but in my opinion, he should have been thrown out. He should not have got that award. And loads of people are saying about taking the award off him, and they're like, well, if you do that, you know, you have to take it off Harvey Weinstein and blah, 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 blah. And I do think there's it's quite nuanced in the sense that, for me, the Harvey Weinstein stuff and everything, yes, you can strip him of the awards and no one will go.
I show a lot of tweets about him because he got an Oscar and he'd fled the country because he was a pedo. I mean, like,
Yeah,
but
but
he's
what
white.
I'm going to
He's a
say
white
to
guy
that
as well,
is, what I'm going to say to that is, those Oscars were awarded before it all came to light. This Oscar was awarded however many minutes after he very publicly hit Chris Rock on the stage of the very awards show that you were at. So for me, if he'd have gone and walloped him afterwards at the after party, I'd be like, no, don't take the Oscar off him. Like, I wouldn't be thinking that. But for me, because it was so close and it was so before he won that Oscar, it's like the equivalent of, let's say you're at school and someone wins Musician of the Year at the school assembly, and just before they go to award this Musician of the Year award to someone, they go and they start a fight with someone else and punch or slap one of the guys, right? The school would say, you're not having that award now. 100% they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Yeah.
They'd
It's because they're
suspend him.
famous. It's different. It's like they're not real people.
Yeah, and it's just, well, that's disgraceful. And so for me, I mean, I like Will Smith. I don't think there's many people before this that didn't, that disliked Will Smith. I mean, everyone liked Will Smith. He was that kind of just nice guy image. So, but I'm like, I'm sorry. You cannot do that. You cannot do that.
Just violence,
despite
like,
what Chris Rock said.
It's not the answer. Yeah. And like, we were obviously like having the discussion yesterday, as the whole world was. Like, it doesn't matter now what he said about Jada, because all you remember is that violence. Whereas, say, she'd have reacted, like, she wasn't happy and the joke was not on, like, it wasn't allowed. She shouldn't have made that comment, like, it was disgusting. But he's never going to have to apologise for that now, because it's totally overshadowed by the slap. So it's not about her anymore. Also,
I'm going to say something right now, right? Let's say one of the hosts, Amy Schumer, let's say she made that joke and Will Smith got up and walloped her across the face. What would everyone say to that? What would everyone say? And to me,
well, he'd have been like fucking mowed
same
down.
Sentiment. It was, to me, it's the
he'd have been mowed
exact
down
same
by
sentiment.
security.
You know, you cannot, no matter what anyone says on that stage, go up and wallop someone, let alone when it is broadcast to millions of people all over the world, live, and also knowing that millions of people, especially young people, you know. And as a comedian, I have to say, I'm not going up. Your mic's dropped. This is my mic drop moment. But I'm not going up doing insulting jokes to people in the audience. But I know many comics that do that kind of style material.
Yeah.
And I have to say, there's that thing where it's like, is this the norm now? Can we just go up and wallop someone across the face if they say something insulting? And listen, I will say this. Chris Rock has apparently said that he didn't know Jada had alopecia. He was making just a joke about her buzz cut. Now, to me, and people can believe it or not, to me, I believe that, because I don't think any
because you wouldn't make that joke, would you?
Would make that joke. No, I don't think they would. And I didn't know Jada had alopecia. And so, but even if he did know that, even if he did, the joke was terrible. It's a shit joke. It was tasteless or whatever. It wasn't funny. You do not go up and hit someone across the face. And then, do you know what? I think half the thing for me was what he said afterwards. It was vicious when he shouted. It was like primal. And I understand.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's like something took over him.
Yeah, and then he went and partied at the Vanity Fair after party, all smiles, all holding up his Oscar, blah, blah, blah. And it's only until the next day he decides to release that apology, because he's probably seen the absolute outcry of it. Yeah. I just, honestly, I'm quite set with this. I just don't think it's okay, and I don't think it can ever be justified. I really don't.
No, it doesn't. But he's just not well. Like, why would you do that? Like, why would that be your first answer? Why would that? Like, that's what I can't get my head around. I'm like, why was that the first thing you thought to do? Was like physically get up and go and hit him? Like,
well, the first thing he thought to do, as you the first thing he thought to do, as you saw on the clip, was laugh. It was
Well, he
only
laughed.
until he presumably turned to Jada and looked, you know, visibly a little bit upset, because I assume she thought it was a joke about her alopecia. He then was like, oh God, you know, he probably felt a little bit embarrassed. He'd laughed at it, so went the other way and tried to rebalance it. Listen, I don't care why he did it. I actually don't. I don't care whether he's mentally ill or whatever. Like, the reasons behind why he did it, for me, none of it is okay. If he'd have gone off stage and had a bit of an altercation, I would have been like, oh God, I mean, that's not good. But it wasn't in front of people, you know, it was...
But that's like, there's only one side, because we all saw it. Like, there's no shying away from it.
And the Oscars released a statement going, we condemn violence in all forms. It's like, well, you don't. You absolutely don't, because you've just literally handed him the Oscar. Well,
it's literally like anyone can go and get up on stage, so everyone probably... Like, they're going to have to change all the protocols around security, because celebs can literally do whatever they want, clearly. So he could just get up, walk onto the stage.
Yeah, but to be fair on that, security would probably... Because we all thought it was a joke. We all thought it was either a joke or a fake. So security probably would not have... No security guard would have stopped Will Smith from getting on stage, which actually I think is fair enough. Like, he's nominated for Best Actor. Like, you know, you won't just stop someone going up. But the fact is, no one in their right mind would have ever thought anyone would get up at the Oscars and wallop one of the presenters. It's just, honestly, I genuinely, sometimes I start thinking about it again. I'm like, I don't know. And I don't know the opinions of everyone, where it's like, oh, well, it's this, it's that. It's like, no, sorry, you do not go up and fight someone like that. Like, you just don't. Yes, you might do that in the street after you've been to the pub and someone says something about your wife or whatever, and you go and protect your wife. Yeah, you might do that. It doesn't make it okay. But I tell you what, if you did do that and the police saw you, you'd be arrested straight away. He's lucky he's not pressing charges. I'm getting more annoyed thinking about this now.
Hey, Lee BC is on, guys. Lee BC is here. Oh God, we should have listened to LBC today. They would have been right talking about it. The only thing I think is just like my final thoughts are just with Jada, and I'm like, do you know what? I hope she had a nice night after all that shit. And all we needed was her visually being sad. Like you just said, she was visually upset by the joke. And then that would have come full circle, and everyone online would have been talking about how unnecessary it is. It would have been press for it as well. And sadly, you know, it would have been sad press for people with alopecia, but it would have got spoken about. Chris Rock would have apologised. But like, this is what I'm kind of imagining would happen in this woke world that we live in. But he's just took all that away and he's made it about him. You know what I mean? It's not about her anymore. It's not about the issue.
Yeah. All he needed to do was walk up on stage like he did, grab the mic from Chris Rock and say, listen, I know you're a comedian. I appreciate you as a comedian. My wife has spoken openly about her alopecia. I don't think it's okay to joke about that medical condition.
And everyone would have applauded.
Very much appreciate right now if you apologise to my wife. And Chris Rock would have been like, oh, and the next day he would have been hailed an absolute gentleman, and but he didn't. He went up, he hit him across the face because he was furious, and I just don't think it's okay. I just don't think it's okay.
And scene. No, it's not okay.
And
well,
scene.
we'll see the repercussion. We'll see what fucking happens. It's been investigated, apparently, isn't it? It's been investigated. So we'll bloody find out.
All right, well, we went serious there, didn't we, Lauren? Maybe a nice little
little anecdote. What are you doing this weekend? Just really quick, we'll buzz off. I'm going to a cousin-in-law's wedding in Manchester, so at the weekend. So I need to find something to wear that fits me, and maybe I'll buy something new from the vintage shop. Probably not. And I'm just gonna go and have a lovely time. What about you, Lee? What are you doing?
I'm having a very chilled weekend. I'm not up to much yet, but you know me, things come up spontaneously. It pops
if that
up
weather comes back,
like herpes.
That's what your social life is, just like that, which rears its ugly head. Yeah, lovely.
All right, well, this has been episode 7. Let us know your thoughts as well. What do you think about the whole Will Smith thing?
And we'll try and get some posts up so you can comment on them. I'll log out and log in, turn on and turn off, all that shit.
And tell us about more celebrities you've met who have apparently been arseholes. We really want to know.
Oh,
Or
I
apparently
love
been
the
lovely.
goss. Yeah, tell us your celeb meeting goss. We love that as well. DMs are always open on Instagram at Fab Life Pod. Yeah, and leave us a review on Spotify and iTunes. That would be delicious as well.
Until then, this has been episode 7 of Fab Life.
With Lauren and Lee.